So I don't know if you've been living in a cave, but if you haven't heard, Super Leeds are back in the Premier League, and Super Leeds
Uh,
enthusiast Oisin McQueirns from Pundit Arena is on the line with me now to talk about the Super Leeds being back. Oisin, firstly, what's it been like the last couple of weeks being back in the
it's been yeah, it's that's to start off. I think that's the best title I've ever been given, Super Leeds enthusiast. But no, it's been excellent. I think it's been as good as any Leeds fan could have really hoped for, I suppose. First game of the season, I think Liverpool was a bit of a free hit, but I think kind of Leeds fans were a little bit worried that the potential to get absolutely thrashed was there, just considering how good a side Liverpool are. And it was kind of one of those games where first game of the season, all eyes were on Leeds. So they didn't get anything out of it, but I think they acquitted themselves well. And then the important games that came, then Fulham, that was an important win, had to win there. And then, of course, Sheffield United as well. So yeah, I think it's been pretty much as good as you could have hoped for. The transfer window's been pretty good so far. The performances have been good. Everyone seems to be enjoying Bielsa in the Premier League. So as far as starts go, as far as first, 3 games, I think they're probably as good as it could have gone, I'd say.
I don't know about you, but when I first started being sort of conscious about football was around about 9 or 10, and I would say you were probably the same, but that would have coincided with the worst period in Leeds history.
Yeah.
So very much so. Are you a Leeds fan that considered Leeds to be a Premier League side, or was Leeds pretty much a Championship side and below since you were a Leeds fan?
No, well, I do have memories of Leeds being. I don't remember the Champions League semi-final. I do remember Leeds being in the UEFA Cup a few times and playing games there, and I do remember them in the Premier League. I remember a few very specific ones I remember, but they always kind of. There was that UEFA Cup season, and there was the season where they beat Arsenal in the last game of the season. They and basically handed Man United the title, but Leeds stayed up. That's the kind of I have vivid memories of that one, and then I remember the next season after that. But the next season after that was the one where they got relegated. So essentially, I have kind of small memories of them being a Premier League team, being a European team. But yeah, most of my Leeds United memories are Championship, League One. So it hasn't been a fun time really for the last 15 or so years, but we'll
Yeah.
make up for
So
it this season.
what is that like actually being a supporter of a club that were so good once upon a time and
Yeah.
then just so bad? Like it's almost like watching Portsmouth fight it out in the League One now. Like people
Mm.
remember them as an FA Cup finalist and that great team that they had in 2007, 2008 period where they were in the UEFA Cup as well. So what's it been like? How do you get used to that?
It's a weird one, yeah, because you're constantly kind of being told that Leeds United, oh, what a huge team Leeds United are, big ground, all the players that they used to have, used to be a European giant, and then like you're kind of watching them and you're watching, or you're getting a stream for Leeds United against Hereford away or something, and they're losing 1-0, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, what happened? How did they get here? Like, and I mean, there is kind of weird benefits to it as well. You kind of get to experience things that most Liverpool, Man United fans would never experience. Like Liverpool United fans are never going to be able to go to Gillingham away, or do you know what I mean? They're never going to see their team play teams like that in an actual competitive, say League Cup or FA Cup game. You also get you get a good gauge of a lot of different players as well, because like you get a good championship knowledge, you get a good kind of knowledge of League One and stuff like that when Leeds are playing there. So there's little benefits to that. But yeah, in general, it's been it's a bit strange, and you always get like, even if you're anywhere, like at the barbers or something, it's like, oh man, did you see the football the weekend? Yeah, yeah. Who do you support? Leeds. Oh, Leeds, no way. They used to be class. And you're sitting there, and you're like, I've had this conversation like a million different times with a million different people, and you're like, yeah, yeah, they're struggling now, aren't they? Yeah, they're struggling now. And it's just like, it's just rinse and repeat. But yeah, I suppose like looking back in hindsight, it did have its kind of benefits, and there's a lot of kind of funny quirks to lower league English football. But no, if I never have to see another championship game or League One game in my life, I'll be pretty happy with that.
I always think that the Championship now is very much sort of where the Premier League was at in the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
in terms of just the competitive nature of it, some of the pitches in certain cases, some of the stadiums are real old style stadiums, the teams, these teams from old Premier League years, but it's just such a kill or be killed situation where it's so competitive compared to the Premier League right now.
Yeah, it's a good league. I do think it's a good league. I think it's been a good league for quite a while, for about 6 or 7 years. I think it's been a real strong league. The thing is, 46 games is so long. That's a slog for any team. Any team who do go up and who do win it will probably deserve it, just for the fact that to be so consistent over 46 games is tough. I mean, 38 games a lot as well, but 46 is just such a slog, and you're playing Saturday, Tuesday. But yeah, I think there is quality in that league. In fairness, I do think sometimes there can be a bit of a gap to say maybe the bottom 7 or 8, and then the rest kind of, there's gaps that appear, I feel, in the league, and maybe the top, say, I think last season, I think the top 4 were probably far and away better than the rest of the league. But in general, I think it balances itself out. This year, it's quite a competitive league, and there's a few good teams, but I think the gap maybe, it'd be interesting. I think the gap from like top of the Championship to bottom of the Premier League, I think is closing every single season. I think it has been for a while. I think you look at a lot of the teams that have gone up, they've excelled. You've got your Wolves, Sheffield United, Leeds are doing quite well now. But yeah, I do think it's a competitive league. It's an entertaining league. I'll give it that. The games are always a pretty good watch. But yeah, as I said, much rather be in the Premier League than be in the Championship.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because I didn't really tee you up for this beforehand when we were chatting. Lowest point of being a Leeds fan in the last...
Lowest point of being a Leeds fan was getting beaten by Histon in the FA Cup first round, and a postman scored the winner. My dad's a postman. So that was probably that's the lowest. That was by far, I think, the lowest point. Yeah, losing to Histon away in the FA Cup and the postman scoring against Leeds.
I'm presuming
I think it was 4. Sorry, I think I was about 14 and I had to go into school the next day. Everyone was like, "Oh, you're used to Histon." And I was like, I think I probably requested a day off, but I didn't get it.
Well, United did lose to MK Dons, 4-0 a couple of years ago.
Sure, Leeds probably in the same league as MK Dons then, though.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I remember when MK Dons was a tough ask going away to Stadium MK. Hard to get 3 points there.
Did you go over to any of those games?
I did. I went to a couple in League One. I went to a Gillingham game. It won 4-1. Bradley Johnson, not sure if you remember him. He's with Blackburn now, I think. He was with Derby. He scored twice, I think. Snodgrass scored. So, yeah, I went to a couple. I went to, I think, a Sunderland game against Sunderland as well. So I went to a few, but it's not the same. I mean, I remember going to the Gillingham game in League One, and it was the season that they went up. So I think it was 09 and 10, I think it was. And the stadium was it was so easy to get tickets to me, but it was like 20,000. And then considered that I went over last year, I think against Wigan, and couldn't get a ticket to save our lives. So like it is such a difference in the support. But yeah, those games they were experiences, all right.
Yeah, what's it like going to a League One game? Because I know a lot of people won't actually do that many times in their lifetime. It's
probably as you'd imagine. Like I remember, like I'm kind of a bit desensitized now because watching Bielsa's Leeds, it's kind of hard to imagine that Leeds played any other way. But yeah, so that kind of period of time was pretty much it. I mean, it's as you'd expect. A lot of long balls, a lot of tough defenders, a lot of veteran centre midfielders, big tackles, goals, a lot of crosses, set pieces worked on, defending not necessarily excellent. To be fair, a lot of the play wouldn't be high level, but like it's competitive. Do you know what I mean? It is. It's very competitive, and for the most part, it was it was a good game. Leeds won 4-1, so like I can't really complain.
Well, that's the main thing. It's been a tough time for Man United fans over the last couple of years because Jurgen Klopp has come into Liverpool, transformed him, a really likeable manager. Pep Guardiola has come in to Man City and transformed him, not so much likeable as he is respectable. But then Leeds come in, El Loco, Marcelo Bielsa takes over Leeds. And honestly, I think that's the only reason people like Leeds at the minute, because he's just such a likeable character.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like it's so bizarre to me when I kind of look at a lot of the players, and like this is not disrespecting those players, but if you look at the likes of like say Luke Ayling, Stuart Dallas, even the captain Liam Cooper, but Calvin Phillips as well. Like when they were at Leeds under the likes of like Paul Heckenbottom, like a couple of managers like that, I remember they were just average kind of championship players, and you'd kind of be thinking like, I remember watching that season. I think they finished 13th, and I was like, if someone like Ayling or Dallas or Cooper, if they were sold to, I don't know, Gillingham or something like that, I'd be like, fair enough. You know what I mean? Like they're not really any loss. And I think that's the best thing about Bielsa is how much he's actually improved what Leeds have had. I still can't get over it when you see like someone like a Luke Ayling or Stuart Dallas, and they're in the Premier League and they look like they belong there, like they're excelling at that level. And I'm kind of thinking, how can this be? How can a manager have such an influence on improving players? Like they have recruited well. Don't get me wrong. Some of the signings they brought in have been really good, but a lot of that core is not. The core was kind of made by Bielsa, not necessarily bought. And I think that's, well, for Leeds fans anyway, that's what kind of makes him so well renowned or so sought after, I suppose. The fact that he kind of improved what we already had, and he didn't just blank checkbook spend. But yeah, I think it's definitely Bielsa that has, like, because Leeds are notoriously hated club, but Bielsa's kind of made them a little bit more likable. I think actually probably a lot more likable.
A lot more likable, I would say, because
Yeah.
he's the football they play. First of all, is very brave for a new team coming into the Premier League. But when he first took over in the Championship, it wasn't all easy going. I do want to point out before I make this point though that the Heckenbottom appointment was probably the high point of me hating Leeds. I think that would have been a low point for them.
I remember that actually, and I remember thinking, you know what, this is a good appointment. I was like, there's a proper Championship manager, done well with Barnsley, Yorkshire man. That's a great appointment.
He knows what he's doing, Paul Heckenbottom.
Yeah. I was like, that's a great appointment. But
that was a sign of where Leeds were at that point in time. But then Marcelo Bielsa comes in, and everyone knows that he's sort of. Well, he didn't get the name El Loco for no reason, and it's always a tenuous sort of situation where when he's managing, you never really know if he's going to stay at the club over 1 year, whether he'll leave after 6 months. He left Lazio after 3 days at the club.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's coming to Leeds and also said that he's going to be here next year again, there must have been something within the club that made him want that as well.
Definitely, yeah. I think he's found the connection. I think with the city, like it suits him. They're football mad. It's a one club city. He's kind of been given not free reign at the club, but he's been kind of given everything that he's wanted. Like the director of football, Victor Orta, the owner, Andrea Radrizzini, they've kind of given him everything that he's needed and everything that he's wanted. And I think that's kind of all he really wants. And the fact that it's his methods are proven so successful there that it's a case of why would he kind of go? I can never really see him. I know I was linked, but like there was kind of a slight Barcelona link. Like I can never really see him kind of going anywhere like that again. Not to kind of knock his ability or anything like that, but I just don't think that it suits him. He kind of has to have a feel for the club that he's with. Like that's why someone like Athletic Bilbao, he did so well there, just because he had a feel of that city, that club. Again, one club kind of thing, one club kind of city. So, yeah, I think he kind of has. He has built a connection with Leeds. I think he'll always have it. I think no matter where he goes next, he'll always have the connection. So, yeah, but I remember when it was announced or when it was going to get near announced, and like I'd heard of Marcelo Bielsa, but I mean, I don't claim to be I wasn't an expert on him, and I kind of had become so disenchanted with Leeds. Well, yeah, but disenchanted with Leeds around that time where I was kind of just like, this can only end badly. Like you kind of get to that mindset kind of creeps in when you've watched Leeds finish 14th. About 4 seasons in a row in the Championship. You're just like, this cannot end well. Like there's no way this will be a success, because you're so programmed into seeing Leeds managers come in, maybe start off okay, but ultimately just fail. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's just so it has been surprising 100%. I didn't think it would go this well.
For many outside the club, that feeling of disaster or a feeling that this isn't going to work or it's not going to get over the line was probably when they got so close the year previous to getting up into the Premier League and just fell short in the playoffs.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like as a Leeds fan?
It was heartbreaking, because I thought that was it, because I didn't think he was going to come back. To be fair, I just thought that it was kind of one of those where I did, because as I said, at the start of the season, I didn't have high expectations, and the expectations kind of they started to kind of fly up as the performances got better and better, and as the results came in, and I was kind of thinking, are they really going to do it? Are they going to do it? But yeah, no, that was heartbreaking. The fact that it came against Derby, I think, made it even worse. But like, it was worrying in the sense that it kind of showed maybe that Leeds have this soft underbelly, or that Leeds have this kind of panic station setting, and you're kind of like, that's a trait that is really hard to forget, or it's really hard to unlearn.
Yeah.
So that kind of had me thinking, well, if we go into next season, like there's still going to be certain scars from that game. And then like the next season then kept going and going, and it was going really well. And then I remember they were 3-0 up against Cardiff in the first half, and they ended up drawing 3-3. And I remember thinking, oh, well, this is it. Here it comes. Here comes the panic station setting again, and it's all going to fall apart. Eventually, they got it back. But yeah, that game was devastating. Because I did think that was it. And I thought Bielsa was I thought that would be, he kind of would maybe thought that he's brought them as far as he could or something, because there was issues in that first season, definitely, and the whole Spygate thing was blown out of proportion.
Well, that was excellent. That was some of the best shithousery to begin with, and then also the best explanation of shithousery I've ever seen.
Exceptional. Yeah, he had the journalist in for like an hour explaining. He basically just broke down he broke down like every single Derby County player. Like he basically said, this is what Frank Lampard does on a day-to-day basis.
And the best thing about that is, that hurt Frank Lampard more than the spy.
Oh yeah, so much. But then the thing people forget about that is, I remember they played Stoke City the next game and lost 2-0. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing that's the kind of thing that happens with Leeds, whereby it was like the focus was all of Leeds. It was like, wow, that was unbelievable. What a way to do it. And then the Saturday gets spanked by Nathan Jones Stoke, and you're kind of sitting there and you're thinking, oh no, like this could low-key be the worst thing that ever happened, because like it might have derailed us or something like that. But but no, sorry, to go back to your original question. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was hard. I thought that it was it. That was going to be kind of it. I thought the likes of Calvin Phillips would be gone, and I just thought it would be another case of rebuilding with another manager, and God only knows where it goes from there.
Well, to draw comparisons again to Liverpool, it was almost like when Liverpool fell short of the Premier League, when Man City took back all those points and ended up beating them at the end of the season. It was almost like that, and it felt that either Liverpool were going to build on this and go on and dominate the Premier League the next year, or they were going to fall apart. And it was the same for Leeds, and both seasons ended the exact same. Liverpool won the Premier League by a massive amount of points, and Leeds eventually, it took a while, and it was probably the last couple of weeks when West Brom fell apart that you just built up such a lead at the top. But it was a massive victory for them, and a really dominant year and to get there after falling apart in the final furlong of the season prior, to finish so dominant then the following season, it shows that these players really have bought into something Bielsa has brought.
Definitely, yeah. And I think, to go back to that, I think for most Leeds fans, for myself anyway, the default setting is like, well, it's going to go wrong. You know what I mean? They won't, as you said, it was going to go either one of two ways, where it was going to be a complete disaster, or they were going to not necessarily romp to the league title, because they didn't really do that. I know they won it by like 10 points, but it was, as you said, it was kind of, God, like I remember there was a few hard to mount moments even towards the end of the season. But it was kind of either going to go one or two ways. And I think the eternal pessimist in Leeds fans kind of thought, well, it has to go badly. It can't. There's no way this can go well. And there was periods during the season where it looked like it was going to, the Leeds are falling apart again. Like, the chant is not a chant for no reason. Do you know what I mean? It does have merit. Like, and I thought there was a few games. I remember Brentford, Leeds lost to Nottingham Forest 2-0. And there was a few results like that where you're kind of thinking, and the performances drop off a little bit, and you're thinking, where are the results going to come? Where are the wins going to come? There's tough games coming up. The worst thing about the Championship is anyone can beat anyone. And I know that's a cliche, but literally any team can beat any team. And that's the worst thing, because you're looking through the fixtures and you're thinking, well, okay, you've got, I don't know, Luton Town at home, Barnsley away, and then you've got Blackburn at home. Well, that should be 9 points. And then you play the 3 games and get 1 point from 9, and you're thinking, how is that possible? These teams, they haven't. And another thing as well about Leeds, I always say this, if any team in a league has a streak going that needs to be broken, it'll come against Leeds. If some player hasn't scored his last 45 games, he'll guarantee to score against Leeds. If some team hasn't won away in their last 48 games, they'll win away against Leeds. Every single time it would happen. They'd always do that. Side note. But, so like any team can beat any team in the Championship, so that kind of made it tough. But it was either going to go one or two ways, and thank God it went the right way.
You're a man that's been hurt many times by this Leeds side.
I think you can hear it in my voice, Enda.
I know. It's the same as listening to Liverpool fans over the last couple of years. I remember I was sitting in a pub watching Liverpool beat, I think it might have been West Brom last time in the Premier League, and they were beating them 3-0 at halftime. And I turned to the Liverpool fan beside me and I said, well, that's that game over. And he said, no. It wasn't secure. The game was not secure at 3-0 up. And that's the heartbreak from the Brendan Rodgers seasons and years prior to that. And it's the exact same with Leeds fans. It's the fragility of the fandoms of Leeds is from years and years of suffering.
That's what it is. Like, even like you see it every time. Like, and like Leeds play a certain way now, whereby I know they're going to play quite well in almost every game. They might not win all the time, but I know they're going to probably like. And it was especially that in the Championship, whereby like it got to the stage where in the back of my mind I knew Leeds were going to dominate every game, most games. Okay, well 99% of the games they're going to dominate. Whether they win them or not is a different story. But like they're going to dominate possession, they're going to have more chances. But even still, I would always be like, oh, that's a tough game. Like I would always be like, well, what if they like, or Leeds go, as you said there, like Leeds go 2-0 up, and I'd be like, don't know about this. You know what I mean? 2-0 up against Luton Town. Leeds have had 24 shots. Luton have had none, 24% possession. I'm thinking, you know what I mean? If they get one, they'll get two. So like
in that Fulham game, the second game of the season, I had Leeds to win -1, and they were 4-1 up, and the game ended 4-3. So that's a sign of the way that Leeds play, and also the fragility of this side. So
they have that in the locker. Yeah, that's the worst part.
They absolutely do, but they're going to be entertaining to watch. That's the bonus of it as well. This Leeds side in the Premier League now, I know for clarity and for transparency to the listeners, the two of us are in a group chat, and there's been several back and forths over the course of the season.
There's been and his opinions on Leeds are, well, their choice occasionally.
Yeah, well, I decide whether I like them depending on what platform I'm talking about. So I have to give it
exactly. That's the key. That's the key.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not going to embarrass myself by giving the same abuse
to
Leeds fans on the national. I appreciate that. So, but anyway, there's several back and forths, and the two of us actually have a wager on for this season. You think that Leeds will finish in the top 8? I disagree with that opinion.
Just for where are they now? Where are they in the table now?
I don't know, where are they? Well, they're in the top 10, aren't they?
They're 7th.
Oh well, they are ahead of Manchester.
You can cash out if you want. You can give me a $5 and cash out if you want.
Well, we might see about that halfway through the season.
Okay.
We'll wait until Christmas till we make a decision on that. But this Leeds team, realistically, do you think they can finish in the top 8?
I think probably top half. I think is probably realistic, and especially considering how the Premier League has started, it's been quite topsy-turvy, and there seems to be a few teams who you'd imagine would have been like perhaps a Sheffield United who maybe would have been top 10 who started off struggling. Wolves don't look too great. I still think they'll be probably around top 8. But I think the Sheffield United game was actually a very big win, because the clean sheet thing was kind of scaring me a little bit, in the whole 4-3s. Like, it was great, it's entertaining, woohoo, 4-3. But I was kind of thinking, like, you can't do this every game. No. Do you know what I mean? And he did adjust, in fairness. He played 3 at the back, and everyone was kind of like, oh, he has such respect for Chris Wilder that he's played 3 at the back and he wants to match them. I think that was just the fact that he conceded 7 goals in 2 games. That was why he changed it. But anyway, that's a side note. But can I finish? Yeah, I do think they can. I think they can probably finish around, I think 11th or 12th, I think would probably be the most realistic finish, to be honest with you. Like, if I'm going with my head, I'm thinking around 11th or 12th. My heart will tell me like maybe top 8 if you get a nice streak of luck or something. If Patrick Bamford keeps up his scoring streak.
Patrick Bamford has turned into, I don't know, like who's he turned into? Ibrahimovic when he's signed for United for the first season. It's absolutely incredible what Patrick Bamford is doing right now.
I hope he doesn't do like a Timu Puki or like who was that Egyptian guy that played for Wigan? Zaki, remember him? Amr Zaki, remember he played? He scored like 13 goals.
Odion Igalo when he played for Watford.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't do that. But no, yeah, Bamford's been excellent. Like, in fairness to him. Bamford's always going to struggle. I remember saying this last season, but I feel like Bamford's going to striker that he's given like 10 chances in a game, he'll score 1 goal. But if he's given 1 chance in a game, he'll also score 1 goal. So like, I feel like he's a weird type of striker whereby like he'll be clinical if he's only given a couple of chances, but he'll be wasteful if his team creates a lot. So I think that's why maybe he benefits in the Premier League a little bit more, because Leeds aren't creating. I know they're still creating a nice amount of chance, but not creating as much as they would in the Championship. So I don't know if it's a little thing there, but. I think top half, I think, would probably be, because in fairness to them, they do look better than like the likes of obviously Fulham, West Brom. I think they'll be quite safe from relegation, but I would like to see. I think around 12th would be realistic, but God, I hope I don't. You see, even when I'm saying this, I'm still thinking like I'm still in the back of my head like, this is what if they finish 18th? What if this? Yeah. What if they all get injured? Like, you know what I mean? What if Bielsa somehow leaves? Like, it's just, I still have that in my head, that pessimism, should I say?
What's the deal with the man buns?
Yeah, I think that was a bit blown out of proportion. It's only like, what, maybe... Oh, actually, no, yeah. Luke Ayling. Calvin Phillips kind of does have one.
Yeah, he does,
Jack Harrison does too. I suppose Tyler Roberts. Yeah, actually, I don't know. There's 4 of them that I have it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching that Sheffield United game and I was looking at it, and it was sort of like the English posh boy that wears skinny jeans that are ripped with no socks and white trainers versus the classic Englishman who would probably end up scrapping with those posh English boys.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like,
it was a contrast to styles, all right. Yeah, I don't know. Because I actually had never even noticed it until I saw a few people tweeting it after the Liverpool game, being like, what the amount of players that have man buns. But I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing. I can't imagine Bielsa has any opinion on that whatsoever.
no,
So,
I wouldn't say he
but
does. We do have
no,
to talk about our Football Hall of Fame because we are adding a couple of more people, or we're going to talk about your favorite Leeds players essentially over the last couple of years.
yes,
But we do have to take a quick break because this Zoom time is running out. So I need to reset a new
I
Zoom
actually saw
call.
that in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. This is modern technology. This is modern
Modern
broadcasting.
technology. Yeah.
So we will take a quick break and we'll be back with Oisin McQueirns from Punter Arena, Super Leeds enthusiast. That's harder than you think to say. We'll be back
That
with
is
his
hard to say.
favorite Leeds players of all time. All right, welcome back to Team 33. Enda Coll here with you. So last week we launched the Team 33 OTB Football Hall of Fame. There's no real rules to it. We just wanted an excuse to talk about our favorite footballers. We did Eric Cantona last week, and you can catch that on the OTB Podcast Network, or you can find it on YouTube as well. Myself, Colin Buig, and Kieran Bradley were speaking about the return of the King and Eric Cantona's return after his Kung Fu kick in the Premier League. Oisin McQueirns from Pundit Arena is with us, and he is a Leeds football enthusiast. Oisin,
Yes.
I've asked
Yes.
you a really tough task over the last week or so
Yes.
to compile your list of favourite Leeds players. So where are we starting?
Yes. We're going to start with number 5 / honourable mention, because this is a little bit of a cheat one, because I actually technically never saw this man play live. So, but we'll put him in anyway. Tony Yeboah is going to go number 5. Now, Tony Yeboah is going to go number 5 because he's the goal of the season specialist. I think he's like the first player, or he was the first player, I think Gareth Bale's done it since, to win BBC's goal of the month 2 months in a row, which is a nice little stat. But yeah, Tony Yeboah goes in there. He scored that goal against Liverpool. He scored that goal against Wimbledon.
I think
Everyone
it was
seems to remember quite.
I think it was the anniversary of the Wimbledon goal last week.
Yes, it was. You're right. I saw that on Twitter. But yeah, also the goal has significance for me because the goal against Liverpool came on the exact day that I was born, 21st of August 1995. And my dad claims that when he was in the hospital with me, he heard the roars from outside, from like some pub or something outside when Yeboah scored. There must have been Leeds fans or something. But I find that hard to believe that Leeds fans actually gathered in one place.
I'm
But
not going to lie.
yeah, so
I thought that story was going to be a little bit different. I thought he was going to claim that you, like, I don't know, started crying or started smiling when the Yeboah goal ended.
I should have said that. If you had given me the heads up, I would have said that happened. I didn't realize that. Anyway, that did happen. Yeah, you spent 2 seasons at Leeds, or well, 3 seasons at Leeds. I think he scored 24 goals in the league, which is not amazing, but he's kind of a cult hero, I suppose. And I believe he said that, actually, I think it was on Team 33, like 5 or 6 years ago, he said that his goal against Liverpool was his favourite goal ever. So
yeah, he spoke to
Tony
Ralph
goes
Diallo.
Yeah. So Tony goes in there now. He's a little bit of a cheat, but he's going in there anyway because of the significance that he kind of has in my life, I suppose. So we'll go to number 4. Had to get an Irish lad in there because Leeds have actually had quite a good history of Irish players. Going to stick Ian Hart in there. 9 seasons for Leeds. He was an excellent left back. I think he was twice in the PFA Team of the Year. Definitely once anyway. Great man for set pieces as well. Free kicks. Anytime Ian Hart stood over a free kick, you kind of knew you were in for something good. He was a great player. Yeah, Irish connection obviously was brilliant. I remember meeting him and Gary Kelly at a Drogheda United game when I was like 7, getting their autographs in there. But very nice. So Ian Hart has to go in there.
Gary Kelly's
number 3,
also...
I'm going to go...
Sorry, Gary Kelly's also a massive Leeds fan still. It was him that put up that bizarre photo when they got promoted, wasn't it?
Yeah, I saw that actually. Gary Kelly. Yeah, they're like nephew and uncle as well, which is a great stat.
Didn't know that.
So that's great. Ian Hart is Gary Kelly's nephew. So that's pretty nice.
Who's older? Is it one of those situations where it's like the uncle's older or the nephew's younger than?
No,
I don't know what I was trying to say.
No, I'm nearly sure Gary Kelly's older because he played a regular seasons. He was, to be fair, he was an honourable mention. He's not going to quite make this top 5, but he's up there. Number 3, I'm going to go a little bit more recent and a striker, Luciano Becchio.
Oh.
Now we have to bear in mind, we kind of spoke about it earlier, but we kind of have to bear in mind that most of my Leeds fandom has come when Leeds have been a league / championship team. Fair. So there might be some people who actually don't really know who this guy is, but for me, he's one of my favourite players ever. I was actually at his debut. His debut came against Shelbourne in Talca Park in a friendly. And I remember thinking, like, it was one of those games where I remember going with my dad and like there's like a list of like 24 players and I was like, Dad, I'm a Leeds fan. I don't know who half of these boys are. I don't know who these lads are. But Becchio, anyway, brilliant. 5 seasons at Leeds. I think he signed from the Spanish second tier. He scored 76 league goals. He scored big goals as well, which is key. He scored, I think, a massive goal against Millwall in the playoff semi-final. Leeds ended up losing the final, but I remember that. I remember that one massively. I remember when he left for Norwich, I was devastated. He was a fantastic striker. Made the move up to championship level, and he excelled. So yeah, he's number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with Alan Smith, Leeds lad.
Yeah.
Another player who he scored. He wasn't like a regular scorer. He was never a kind of 20-goal a season man, but he scored big goals for Leeds. He also kind of played in loads of different positions. I think we saw it a bit more when he went to United and Newcastle, that he was pretty versatile.
Yeah, what's your opinion on Alan Leeds post Leeds, or Alan Smith? Sorry, Alan Leeds.
Yeah,
Alan Smith post Leeds. Like, did that hurt you when he left? Because he was obviously one of the best talents.
Yeah, it hurt. I remember because I remember vividly he was crying and he was kissing the badge when Leeds got relegated. It was the last game of the season, like May 2004, and then he ended up going to Manchester United. And in fairness, I was 8, 9. So like, if he did it now, I'd kind of be like, if he did it now, I'd be like, fair enough. I can understand where he'd go. Like, but at the time, I remember being devastated. And I think it still hurts a lot of Leeds fans that he did go to Manchester United. But listen, it's the business after all. You know what I mean?
I always kind of have Alan Smith in the same kind of order of players who could have been a lot better had their career not been changed by an injury. The likes of Eduardo da Silva for Arsenal. I thought he would have been a phenomenal striker if he had the chance to grow. And Alan Smith, I think, as well, had the talent to be one of the best Premier League strikers. And it was the leg break from John Anaris's free kick that just kind of changed his career forever.
Yeah, that was a complete freak accident. Like, but no, he was brilliant. I remember when he was at Leeds, he was brilliant. He could play anywhere. Like, that was the best part about him. You'd throw him up front, and he chances are he'd nab you a goal. You could throw him like kind of off the front. You could throw him wide. Ferguson kind of even tried to convert him into a centre midfielder, and that's where he ended up playing. I suppose the second half of his career with Newcastle and that. But yeah, I suppose he's kind of one of those that maybe it probably would have worked out differently had he not been injured. But in hindsight now, I can kind of look back on Alan Smith and think, yeah, he was a great player. Brilliant striker, love Leeds. So yeah, again, my number 1 is again a player who played the majority of his football in League One, and it's Jermaine Beckford. There was dark years. There was many dark years in League One, many dark years in the Championship, and Jermaine Beckford's goals lit them up. I think he's top scorer.
He has lived long in the Leeds fans' memories for that goal against Man United, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that goal against Man United. Yeah, I remember watching that game, and Leeds were in League One. Actually, in hindsight, that was the worst thing that happened to Leeds that season, because they had been just dominating the league, and then they beat United, and then I think they ended up winning maybe like 2 of their next 14 games or something ridiculous like that. They went on a terrible streak. But yeah, that goal was still iconic for Leeds fans, because Leeds were, as I said, League One. The gulf between them and United was huge at the time. And to get one over on them like that was excellent. He scored the winning goal against Bristol Rovers as well, last game of the season, which got Leeds promoted to the Championship from League One. He was a goal machine. I think he scored 72 goals in 126 league games for Leeds, which is brilliant. Went on then to move to Everton. I think he was one of those players that Leeds fans didn't really begrudge a move to, because he was kind of far too good for League One towards the end of his Leeds United career. And he's still a Leeds fan as well. He's still a huge Leeds fan. Like, you see him on, he's done coverage of a lot of Championship games, and he'd be on Sky Sports and stuff like that. And he's got clear Leeds bias, and it's brilliant. Like, great to see from a Leeds fan's perspective. But yeah, Jermaine Beckford would have to go. He'd go number 1. If we have time, I have a couple of honourable mentions as well. Mark Viduka has to go in there for an honourable mention. He was a tremendous striker. Well, he was on his day. He was a tremendous striker.
He was a tremendous striker of the ball.
Yeah, he hadn't showed the ball no mercy, but he was one of those players that he could do nothing, and I mean nothing, for 85 minutes, and then get you the winner. Yeah. Or he could, like, he was kind of I don't want to call him a lazy striker, but he was kind of striker that the goals that he scored made up for the lack of kind of anything else he would tend to do. But he was in there. Lee Bowyer as well is going to go in. He was nasty. He's the kind of player that you love having on your team, but he was against you, you hate him. But he was a key cog, to be fair, and Leeds run to the Champions League semi-final that time. In his day he was a good player. And then my last one was going to be Lucas Radebe, South African defender. He's still a cult hero. Leeds, he's iconic. He had played 11 seasons. He kind of suffered a little bit with injuries towards the last 3 or 4. I think last 3 or 4 seasons of his career. He stayed actually as well when they got relegated to the Championship. Didn't play too many games, but he stayed. So that was kind of that elevated him even more in the eyes of Leeds fans. But Yeah, he was exceptional. I really loved him. Kind of came out of nowhere. I think they got him from Kaiser Chiefs in South Africa, and that's where the band got the name. Fun fact, because that's the team Luke's trying to be signed
Right.
for, or signed, was signed, yeah, from. So yeah, he's going to go honorable mentions, and that's my top 5 plus 1, 2, 3 honorable mentions.
There's some good names in there, but I can't help but notice that you've left out Stephen McPhail, which I thought he was going to be in there.
Stephen, you see, I was going to put Stephen McPhail was going to go in there, and then I was like, I don't know if I can even I couldn't really justify it. Like, to be fair, I had lads like Pablo Hernandez and Calvin Phillips and all in there, and then I was like, oh, they're playing right now. I can't put them in. I even nearly had Ben White in like after last season. So, but yeah, no, McPhail. In fairness to McPhail, he was so unlucky with injuries. Like it's unbelievable, because I remember he was kind of I remember players just say like his left foot was one of the best they'd ever seen. Like I was like, these are like proper like European footballers saying like this man was one of the best footballers I've ever seen. And he was one of the, I think in like 99, 2000, I remember reading up on it. They Leeds had a really young side, and I think they finished third, and it was kind of, everyone was like, oh, they're going to push on now. McPhail actually played a good few games that season, and it just never kind of really clicked with them and that whole team. And then McPhail kind of started suffering these injuries, and he never kind of really reached the potential that he probably should have.
Yeah, we had Eddie Gray on a couple of weeks ago on the football show, and obviously he played with the likes of Johnny Giles. He played in the lead sides of the 60s and 70s that were the dominant force in English football. And he also coached at Leeds for years and years. And he said that Steve McPhail had the potential, if he had a little bit more pace, he could have been as good as the likes of Liam Brady was. And that's the standard that he had him up as.
Like it's unfortunate kind of when you hear stuff like that. And it's not to say that he didn't have a good career, because he did. I mean, he still went on to Cardiff, and he was a good player there. But like, just it felt as though that he kind of had he stayed injury free and fit, maybe he could have hit different heights. And I remember looking at his career for Ireland as well. I think he only played maybe a handful of games for Ireland as well.
It was unbelievable, because he didn't make the Ireland World Cup squad in 2002, having played in the Champions League semi-final the year before that. And you just have to, like, I know he was unlucky with injuries at times, but you just have to think about maybe the World Cup might have been a little bit different, because they would have an actual centre midfielder who could do something with the ball when Roy Keane left.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. It is, his career is kind of, but listen, I suppose he's made a good. He still had a good career, still had a solid career, but it's one of those things whereby, I think a lot of Leeds fans, Leeds fans still love him as well whenever he's kind of mentioned, or whenever he kind of does anything. Or if I think Phil Hay from the Athletic might have done a piece on him. I think it could have been earlier this year, maybe last year, and it went down really well, I remember. People still have love for him, but yeah, no, it's unfortunate. But no, he would have been an honourable mention. We didn't quite make the list. As I said, like there's a lot of lads that I could have thrown in there, like, but no, he wasn't there. Sorry, Stephen.
Oisin, good stuff.
Thank you, Enda.
Best of luck over the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months in the season. I don't want to wish you too much of good luck, because I want to get that money off you at the end of the season.
If you do, yeah,
exactly. So anyway, Oisin McQueirns from Pundit Arena, thank you.
Listen, thanks, Enda. Cheers.
We'll take a quick break.